Good day, everyone. So, what is the best way to deal with errors in students' papers? Should one mark every error or just a few? Which methods of marking are most efficient or most effective? So today, I am Nicole Del Mendo discussing about assessing grammar effectively. The topic outline are ways to address grammar in writing classroom and ways to assess grammar skill. So why do we need to assess grammar in writing? Grammar assessing is a necessity due not only to admissions exams, school administrations, etc. demand to hold it, but also to the necessity simply to know where you are and how you will can communicate to everyone everywhere. Grammar is an essential part of any language, and the students should be well versed with the grammatical knowledge of appropriate subjects. Grammar error causes a major or minor difference in the meaning, so it is very important to take care of that. Besides being the groundwork for good communication, grammar is useful to the learners in many different aspects. These include job opportunities, study opportunities, social skills, and a boost of confidence. And first to the assessing grammar effectively is ways to address grammar in the writing classroom. So the first one is mark individual errors. Instructors can mark individual errors in a variety of ways. For instance, you can mark and label an error every time it occurs, referring students to a grammar or handbook. You can mark error the first time it occurs, name it, and ask the students to find and correct other instances in the paper. Some professors circles errors but don't name them, requiring the students to investigate and solve the problems on her own. Whichever mark you decide to make, consider both you students' level of competency and the lesson you're trying to teach. A students may need to have errors named for him early on, but as the term goes on, you may decide to circle the errors and let the students name it and correct it. Always consider which method is most effective at this particular point in a student's education. So the next one is look for patterns of error. Determining that a student or group of students consistently have trouble with commas. For instance, you can help see where and how to best focus your attention. Perhaps you need to work with a students during office hours, or if it's common enough, then you can discuss it in a 5 minutes grammar lesson. And the last one is prioritize error. And finally, when addressing paper, especially troubled by grammatical grammars, a professor will want to prioritize the errors. Students can be overwhelmed by too much direction or editing. Sometimes the most effective approach is to choose one or two types of error per paper to address. Another outline is ways to assess grammar skills. So, grammar skills as the ability to communicate clearly using written language, how to use words and punctuation to get your meaning across in a way that most readers can understand. Grammar is the structural foundation of our ability to express ourselves. Good grammar knowledge enables you as a writer to understand what makes a piece of writing successful so that it will capture both the interest and understanding of the readers. So, there are more ways to assess grammar skills, but I have here 5 ways to assess students in grammar skills. So the first one is oral interview, second class presentation, third close exam, fourth writing sample, and the last one is multiple choice exam. So the first one is oral interview. So the oral interview have two categories. The first one is it can be the class type and discussion, and also the private discussion. In terms of private discussion, it is called one-on-one of your students or talking to your seatmate. In terms of oral interview, it can help to listening. Teacher needs to observe and also evaluate, and in terms of speaking ability of the students, if how they pronounce, of how the vocabularies that they have are good, and if their grammar structures are fine. So that is the way of oral interview. The second one is the class presentation. So when we say class presentation, it looks like reporting. So in terms of class presentation, we discuss their spoken language, which is the best the students have now. They have different ways to communicate, and also teachers observe their speaking skills of the students and how they become creative and critical thinking fast in a certain topics that teachers given on the spot. It can help it speak them in front to boost confidence. The third one is the close exam. A close exam is typically a way to test understanding your students have of grammar, and it is originally read to write to paragraph form, and also the students, if they have study on that certain test and they think logically and grammatically in terms of reading and correct words for the certain paragraph that teachers give as a features. The fourth one is the writing sample. Writing sample is another good way to assess their proficiency with grammar. Often friends or a native speakers will correct and or the non-native speakers writing with the intention of helping, but this will not give you an accurate features of the students. So the last one is the multiple choice exam. Multiple choice exam is very popular. So how is multiple choice exam can help us assessing the grammar skills. So it is giving us something classic the way to assess that the students and that's the students and also let the students point what are the answers that they have back up their minds, of course. In terms of grammar, what are the past tense, present tense, future tense, and in terms of grammar subject, to see how they are grammatically correct. Additionally, of my report, the importance of grammar. We all know that the grammar is provide information from the reader's comprehension, and you will every moment that we have research that we read, we observe the grammar. Why? When the grammar structure is hard for our readers to understand, the statement, it is a structures that conveys meaning from the writer to the audience. So it is the structure that conveys precise meaning from the writer to the audience. Eliminate grammatical errors from your writing and reward your readers with a clear communication. So, teaching and assessment of grammar skills is not just an unpleasant necessity, it can be turned into a useful and even enjoyable enough experience if real life tests, students' problems, and teacher requirements are taken into consideration and brought into balance with each other. So that's all my report. Thank you for listening.